Hey everyone, it's Arda, and today I've got a 2-for-1 rainbow design using some layered dies from Birch Design. I'm using the Floral Star layering dies. There are 3 of them and they're in the shape of a 6-petal flower. Although I'm getting a snowflake vibe from them, so I may revisit this closer to Christmas with some more frosty colors. My idea was to see if I could use the 3 layers as stencils and get a layered stencil look on a flat piece of white cardstock. To do this, you need to start with the stencil created from the top layer of the dies. You can see that mine has already been used once, and just rest assured that you are getting the benefit of my experience. For this first layer, you just want to put down a very light layer of color. This is where I went wrong on my practice run. My blending was too dark, and then when I moved to the next layer, there was no differentiation in the color. I kind of divided the flower up into 6 areas, and I used a rainbow of Catherine Pooler inks and some blending brushes. I did end up with some heavy spots outside the flower, but that's okay because as I layer up my colors, the outside of the flower will get darker. I removed the first die cut and I put the next one right on top, being sure to get it in precisely the right place. You'll notice that I'm using repositionable adhesive so that they'll stay in place. This becomes noticeable a bit later, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I worked my way through the colors again, and the blend is getting really good because I'm not changing the color in the exact same spot on this layer as I did on the last. When I took the second die cut up, you can see that the effect is working, and I'm getting some real depth on these stenciled areas where the spaces within the flower petals are different sizes. Now it's time to add that last stencil. This is the one with the smallest holes, and these spaces will be the darkest because they'll now have 3 layers of ink on them. I worked through the rainbow yet again, and this time I'm also making sure to get really heavy coverage over the stencil and also onto the edges of the panel. The die cut is pretty much disappearing into the ink blending, and those uneven areas I had earlier are being blended away. When I took the stencil away, my mind was blown a little bit. I can't believe how beautifully this turned out. I don't know if you can see, but some of the edges are not completely smooth. I think that's because of the dots of repositionable adhesive that I had swiped on the back of each stencil, but I think it actually adds a bit more interest and a different look. To finish this card, I trimmed the panel and put it on a white card base with the big sugar script thanks die over top. This card doesn't need anything else, just look at those colors. Now, of course, I was left with 3 very pretty stencils that are also perfectly usable on a card. I decided to stack them up and use them the way they're really meant to be used. But as I added glue to the backs, I had an easy idea to add even more interest. Rather than lining up the blended colors, I turned each layer by 1 petal clockwise. This gave me an amazing result. Each petal has at least 3 colors visible on it, and I ended up loving this bonus card even more than the one I had set out to make in the first place. To finish this one, I simply put it on a white card base and used the same sentiment cut from black and white cardstock. I hope you enjoyed seeing these cards come together. These are 2 simple ideas to get more out of your layering dies. I've linked all the supplies I used below if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.